If you were asked to gradually weaken your ability to sustain deep focus, how would you do it? Most people predict it requires something dramatic: chronic sleep deprivation, severe emotional trauma, or a physical brain injury. It feels entirely logical. Changing the physical structure of an adult mind must require an extreme disruptive force. Before we examine the data, commit to an answer. Which one do you believe? Here is why your intuition leans toward, for over a century, leading neuroscientists believed the adult brain was a static, unchangeable machine. It felt safe to assume our neural hardware was locked in once we reached adulthood. Here is why that mental model made sense. If your brain changed constantly, your memories and personality might feel dangerously unstable. But the evidence forced scientists to throw that old model away. Your nervous system isn't waiting for a life-altering trauma to alter its pathways. Like many complex adaptive systems,
the brain tends to strengthen networks that are used frequently, while underused networks may become less efficient over time.
Every morning, when you reach for a screen within seconds of waking, you think you're simply gathering information. But beneath the surface, a quiet biological reorganization is happening. That adult brains could not reorganize. Most researchers expected any experiment challenging this consensus to fail. But Merzenich wasn't convinced. Working with owl monkeys, he carefully mapped the sensory cortex, the exact cluster of brain territory responsible for processing touch from each finger on the monkey's hand. Then, he performed a delicate procedure, severing the nerve carrying signals from two specific fingers. Now, pause and predict. What should happen to that quiet, disconnected region of the brain over time? Almost everyone, including scientists of the era, expected that silent brain region to remain dead space forever. Here's why that prediction made sense. If a house loses its electrical connection to a room, the wires inside the wall don't magically rewire themselves to power the kitchen. And for the first few days, the brain scans showed total silence. But when Merzenich rescanned the monkey's brain months later, the evidence showed something that shattered 100 years of neuroscience. The silent territory hadn't died. Instead, over time, cortical representations reorganized in response to changing patterns of use and sensory input. The map areas for the neighboring, active fingers had expanded to represent the adjacent unused space. Now we need a new mental model. The adult brain map is dynamic. While scrolling social media doesn't instantly convert deep focus circuits, your brain continuously reinforces the networks you engage most often.
Think about the last time you sat down to work on a difficult, high-stakes project. Within minutes, you likely felt a sudden, uncomfortable restlessness, an intense urge to open a new tab, or check your phone.
Would avoiding that uncomfortable friction actually help your brain learn faster? It sounds completely reasonable. We naturally assume that learning occurs best when we feel calm, fluid, and effortless.
When we feel friction, we interpret it as a sign that we are exhausted or incapable.
Why do we believe this? because our educational culture equates struggle with failure. To test this, researchers looked at the neurochemistry of focused attention, and what they found completely overturned that intuition.
Challenging, attentive learning appears to create particularly favorable conditions for many forms of adult plasticity.
When you experience that uncomfortable urge to pull away from a difficult task, your brain engages a complex interplay of biological signals.
This includes norepinephrine, which elevates alertness, and acetylcholine, which marks specific active circuits for modification,
alongside a much larger network of chemical signals, including dopamine and glutamate.
That subjective feeling of friction may reflect conditions in which focused learning is more likely to occur. If you give in to the escape, you reinforce the pathway of distraction. But if you hold through that discomfort,
even for 90 seconds, you allow those marked circuits to remain engaged, signaling to your brain that this specific focus network matters.
when people struggle with daily motivation, popular online advice tells them their dopamine is destroyed, or that they need a 24-hour dopamine detox. Before we look at the data, make your guess. Does high-stimulation media deplete your total dopamine supply, or is a different biological mechanism at play?
The popular belief is that your brain simply runs out of dopamine, like running out of fuel in a car.
Here is why that intuition fails. Dopamine is not a liquid fuel you drain and refill. It operates through complex signaling pathways designed to maintain internal balance.
Following intense, rapid stimulation, many people experience a temporary reduction in motivation and reward sensitivity, consistent with the brain's drive to maintain balance, or homeostasis.
After the stimulation ends, dopamine signaling doesn't simply disappear. It temporarily recalibrates. This explains why reading a book after 2 hours of scrolling feels excruciating. The book didn't become more difficult. Your brain's temporary shift in reward sensitivity made low-stimulation effort feel far less engaging by comparison.
What we label as chronic laziness is often just a nervous system temporarily adapted to hyperstimulation.
Most people predict that checking their phone the moment they wake up helps them kickstart their day and wake up faster. Predict for a moment. Does an immediate morning screen spike make your brain more alert? Or does it prematurely fragment your attention? Intuition tells us that fast inputs wake us up. But the transition from sleep to wakefulness is accompanied by measurable changes in brain activity and hormone levels.
Many researchers recommend avoiding immediate high-stimulation inputs during this period to allow your nervous system to stabilize its baseline attention naturally.
Although the exact long-term mechanisms are still being actively studied, instead of rigid internet hacks, evidence points toward 3 structural shifts.
Allowing a period of calm during waking hours gives your attention networks a chance to engage without immediately reacting to external demands.
Engineering friction. Most people try to stop unwanted habits using pure willpower. But willpower relies on executive function networks that tire easily.
Adding just 5 seconds of physical friction, like placing your device in another room, interrupts automated behavioral loops and forces a conscious choice.